Introduction. Have you ever looked at your bank account at the end of the month and thought, wait, where did all my money go? Like seriously, you get paid, you feel good for about maybe 2 days. Then life starts happening. Groceries, subscriptions. You forgot about random Amazon purchases at 1 a.m., that coffee that somehow costs $6, but you tell yourself it's fine, and before you know it, the balance is back to that uncomfortable number again. And the weird part? You're not reckless. You're not out here buying yachts or luxury watches. You're just living, paying bills, eating food, existing in the modern world. So you start wondering something that a lot of people quietly wonder but rarely say out loud. How do some people actually build real wealth? Not the flashy Instagram version. Not the look at my rented Lamborghini version. I mean the quiet kind of wealth. The kind where someone wakes up at 45, looks at their accounts, and realizes they've built a few $1,000,000 almost. Quietly. Honestly, that question has lived rent-free in my brain for years. My name is Nick, and I spend a slightly unhealthy amount of time thinking about money, human behavior, and why some people slowly drift into wealth while others feel like they're running on a financial treadmill forever. And somewhere along the way, I started noticing something interesting. Most millionaires don't have a magical investment secret. They don't wake up every day making genius stock trades. Instead, many of them follow one surprisingly simple habit. A habit that, on the surface, looks almost boring. Just $100 a day. Not spending it, not gambling it, directing it. And if you understand the psychology behind that one habit, it can completely change how you think about money, discipline, and building wealth over time. So let's talk about it. The habit isn't about the 100. When people first hear about the $100 daily habit, they usually react the same way. Okay, so what? I just save $100 every day? And look, if it were that simple, everyone would be doing it. But the real habit isn't about the number. The number is just a symbol. The real habit is intentional financial direction. See, most people let money drift through their life like water through a sieve. It arrives and then slowly leaks out in dozens of small directions. But wealthy people tend to do something different. They intercept the flow. They take a portion of money before it disappears into life and redirect it toward assets. Every single day. Now sometimes that's literally $100. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less. But the habit is the same. Pay yourself first. Before the bills. Before lifestyle upgrades. Before random spending. Money gets routed toward building future wealth. And honestly, when I first started thinking about this concept, I had a strange realization. Most people treat investing like an occasional event, but millionaires treat it like brushing their teeth. It's just part of the day. The math that quietly changes everything. Let's pause for a second and just look at the math. $100 per day equals about $36,500 per year. Now, if that money is simply sitting in a checking account, okay, cool. That's savings. But if that money is invested consistently in something that grows, say index funds, businesses, or assets that compound, things start to get interesting. Let's assume an average return of about 8% per year. Not crazy. Historically, pretty reasonable. After 10 years, that habit alone could grow to roughly $550,000. After 20 years, you're looking at around $1.7 million. And here's the part that really messes with people's brains. The first few years feel slow. Painfully slow. You might look at your account after a year and think, that's it? But compounding doesn't behave like a straight line. It behaves like a snowball rolling downhill. Small at first, then suddenly massive, which means the real power of the $100 habit isn't the money itself. It's the time you give it. And time, honestly, is the one financial asset nobody can manufacture later. The identity shift. But here's something even more important than the math. The $100 habit changes who you become. Let me explain. When someone invests money daily or weekly, they slowly start seeing themselves differently. They're not just someone trying to save money. They become an investor, and that identity shift changes behavior. Suddenly you're asking different questions. Instead of, can I afford this? You start thinking, is this worth delaying my future wealth? Instead of, how much does this cost? It becomes, how much future growth am I trading away? Now, does this mean you stop enjoying life? No, but you start making slightly more thoughtful decisions. You skip some unnecessary spending. You negotiate better deals. You avoid lifestyle inflation, not because someone forced you to, but because your identity evolved. And honestly, identity is one of the most powerful forces in human psychology. People tend to act consistently with who they believe they are. The secret weapon: automation. Okay, let's be real for a second. Discipline is great in theory, but humans are terrible at consistency. We forget things. We get lazy. We get distracted by Netflix and snacks. So here's the trick many millionaires use. They automate the habit. The money never touches their spending account. It automatically transfers into investments every day, every week, every paycheck. And this removes the biggest enemy of wealth building: decision fatigue. If you have to choose to invest every time, eventually you'll skip it. But if the system does it for you, your future wealth grows quietly in the background while you're living life. And honestly, this is one of those small systems that separates people who intend to build wealth from people who accidentally succeed at it. The psychological advantage of small daily actions. There's another reason the $100 habit works so well. It's psychologically manageable. Saving $36,500 at the end of the year feels overwhelming. But $100 today? That feels doable. Humans are wired to succeed with small, repeatable actions. Think about fitness. Nobody gets healthy from one giant workout. It's the daily walks, the consistent meals, the repeated small choices. Money works exactly the same way. And, weirdly enough, the daily habit creates momentum. Once you've invested for 30 days straight, you don't want to break the streak. You start protecting the habit, and protecting the habit protects your future wealth. The quiet lifestyle advantage. Here's something people rarely talk about. The $100 habit forces you to maintain a slightly lower lifestyle than your income allows. And that small gap between income and lifestyle, that's where wealth grows. You see this pattern everywhere among financially successful people. They don't live poorly, but they also don't inflate their lifestyle every time their income rises. They maintain a margin, a gap, and that gap gets invested year after year. Now, from the outside, it doesn't look dramatic. No flashy financial moves, no viral crypto trades, just consistent investing and controlled lifestyle growth. But over decades, that quiet behavior becomes extremely powerful. The real reason most people don't do this. If the habit is so simple, why doesn't everyone do it? Honestly, 2 reasons. First, impatience. People want dramatic financial change quickly. They want the big win, the huge trade, the overnight success. But wealth building is usually boring, slow, repetitive, predictable, and that lack of excitement makes people quit early. Second, invisible progress. In the beginning, nothing feels different. Your life looks the same. Your bank account doesn't suddenly explode, which makes the habit easy to abandon. But what people don't realize is that wealth often builds quietly for years and then suddenly becomes obvious, like a tree growing underground before it breaks through the soil. Conclusion. So when people hear about the $100 daily habit, they sometimes misunderstand it. They think it's about a specific number, but it's really about something deeper. It's about building a system where money consistently flows toward your future. It's about shifting your identity from someone who spends money to someone who directs it with intention. It's about giving compounding time to do its quiet magic. And honestly, the most powerful part of this habit isn't the first year or even the 5th. It's the moment, maybe 15 or 20 years from now, When you look back and realize something incredible happened, not because you made one genius decision, but because you made one small, consistent decision thousands of times, $100 at a time, day after day, quietly, patiently. And that's how a lot of millionaires are created, not through brilliance, not through luck, but through simple habits, repeated long enough for time to turn them into something extraordinary.